This is number 28 Devon Avenue in Newton, in the northeastern Adelaide suburbs. This is the former home of Mark Langley. Mark lived here with his parents and two younger sisters. On Saturday night, February 27th, 1982, Mark left his home here and went to a birthday party at the nearby suburb of Windsor Gardens. It was from that party that Mark would leave and drive into the city. So this is the former home of Mark Langley at 28 Devon Avenue, Newton. I'm standing on War Memorial Drive here in Adelaide on the northern banks of the River Torrens. I'm facing the spot where Mark Langley sat parked in a car on Sunday morning, February 28, 1982. It was right in this vicinity here. I believe it was right beside this large tree you see here. Of course, on that Saturday night, February 27th, 1982, Mark Langley attended a party in Windsor Gardens, a northeastern suburb of Adelaide. He left the party, I think, sometime after midnight, with two friends, Ian Samson and Paula Atkinson. The trio drove into the city, to Adelaide. They stopped at Hindley Street for a bit, then made their way down here to War Memorial Drive and parked in this very vicinity, right here where these cars are, near that tree. As the trio sat in the car, an argument ensued, and Mark got out of the car angrily and walked off into the night. And that was that. Mark was never seen alive again. This is another angle of where Mark Langley, Ian Samson and Paul Atkinson parked early that Sunday morning. I'm now facing south back toward the city. The River Torrens in the foreground. You pan around a bit, see where we are on War Memorial Drive. That's the Adelaide Boat Club. The Adelaide University Oval. The Adelaide University footbridge in the foreground there. This is the area where Mark Langley got out of the car that Sunday morning. So on that early Sunday morning, February 28, 1982, Ian Samson, Paul Atkinson and Mark Langley, I assume they drove in from the west from King William Road if they came from Hindley Street, and drove here and parked in War Memorial Drive. Now, I must make a big shout out to Mr. Ian Samson, whom I contacted via Facebook. Ian, of course, was in the car that night when Mark got out of the car. I contacted Ian and asked him specifically where he parked, and he was most graciously able to give me the exact location, and I am eternally thankful for that. I know it's a very sensitive subject, and as I say, I'm nothing but gratitude to Mr. Ian Samson for that, so thank you very much. Now, when Mark got out of the car that night, The question is, in which direction did he walk off into? Now that's difficult to pinpoint. I would assume he walked in this direction to the east. Mark lived in Newton, which is to the northeast of this location. Sort of in that area there. So you would assume he walked this way, either along War Memorial Drive or onto the Torrens itself and the banks, which would take him to Hackney Road, where there was a possible sighting of Mark a bit later on that Sunday morning. Now, it's one thing to see this area in the daylight, but I think we need to come back for a nighttime perspective and just have a look at War Memorial Drive in the nighttime, just to give it that different feel. I'm in War Memorial Drive, and this is the location where Mark Langley, along with his friends Ian Samson and Paul Atkinson, parked that night on the night of early morning, February 28, 1982, in this general location, probably around where that gum tree is. The rowing club over there to the left. So I'm going to give a perspective now of Mark Langley got out of the car and walked off into the night. Ian Samson and Paul Atkinson then drove off, and they went on a loop around this, what you'd call the block. So I'm going to replicate the route they took after Mark Langley got out of the car. Alright, we're leaving War Memorial Drive.
Yeah, we're close to the car beside us.
That's alright, it's all clear. So we're now leaving War Memorial Drive.
No, we're still in War Memorial Drive.
Yeah, that's right, heading east. This is the direction Ian Samson would have driven that night. Onto Sprigg Road coming up. Got to go around the roundabout, don't you? Now turning onto Sprigg Road, the Adelaide Zoo to the left of screen, over the Sprigg Road Bridge. Their next turn was into Victoria Drive, which is coming up to the right up here. Passing the Adelaide Zoo. Bloody red light. So about to turn into Victoria Drive. Now this is an interesting street, of course, as we will pass the Adelaide University to the left. The River Torrens is on the right. And it's in this vicinity, coming up a bit further, where Dr. Duncan was thrown into the Torrens in 1972 and drowned. Just a bit further on up here. And of course the second man thrown in the river, Roger James, was rescued by one Bevan Spencer von Einem, right around this area here. That was in 1972. So this is Victoria Drive, the southern banks of the Torrens, passing the Adelaide University to the left of screen. or continue up westward. We're driving westward towards King William Road, passing Kintor Avenue to the left. So Ian Samson and Paula Atkinson would have driven in this loop, and they would return back to War Memorial Drive. This might take a minute here, get the lights. So we're coming onto King William Road now, and we'll turn right again. Yeah, they would have returned back to War Memorial Drive, and hoping Mark Langley was still there, but he was nowhere to be seen. And that wasn't too long. So now we're on to King William Road. Adelaide Oval to the left of screen. St. Peter's Cathedral in the distance. Now we're coming back onto Adelaide Oval is to the left. So that's Edwin Smith Drive, isn't it? We turn onto.
Yes.
And then onto War Memorial.
Yes.
Yeah, that's confused. So actually drive onto Edwin Smith Drive, I think it is. And just for a short distance, and then back onto War Memorial Drive in a 360 loop. So it only takes a few minutes, not even that, depending on the lights, of course. So Ian Samson and Paul Atkinson were only gone for a short time. Yeah. Now on Edwin Smith, and we'll turn right into War Memorial Drive. So that's how long it takes, not very long at all. And they came back to the spot where they'd been parked, where Mark Langley got out of the car. And they came back here hoping he was back here, but of course he had walked away. And oh, what's that?
Possum.
A possum. Roundabout at night. So yeah, we're coming back to the exact spot where we started, and that's how long it took them. Back here on War Memorial Drive, where yeah, that was the tree right there. And that's where they parked. Oh, look at that, we've got a spot. How's that? And that completes the loop. That is looking back into the River Torrens, and just speculating that perhaps Mark Langley walked from War Memorial Drive alongside the River Torrens, and if he'd walked that particular path, which is a fair walk, it's probably 20 minutes minimum, maybe 3 kilometers around that. But if he'd walked that route, and there's no way of knowing that, but if he did, it would have led him to Hackney Road, which is on the eastern side of Adelaide. And it is here on Hackney Road that a possible sighting of Mark Langley was made in the early hours of that Sunday morning. He could have walked this way, and this would bring him to Hackney Road. I'm now on Hackney Road on the eastern side, walking south. At approximately 4 a.m. on that Sunday morning, February the 28th, 1982, a man named Robert Windsor said he saw Mark hitchhiking or being picked up. I think the word was a car stopped for him to get in, somewhere along here on Hackney Road. In the book Dissected, the Family Murders, it talks about Mark being just past the Hackney Hotel, which is here, albeit it seems to be going under some kind of major renovation or demolition job. So I passed Richmond Street. So yeah, Robert Windsor says he was driving along Hackney Road at around 4 AM, and he saw someone matching Mark's description get into a car. First thing is, the timeline doesn't add up. Mark got out of the car on War Memorial Drive at 1:30 AM, and Robert Windsor says he saw this at around 4 AM. That's 2.5 hour gap. It certainly doesn't take 2.5 hours to walk from War Memorial Drive to here. But anyway, Mark could have done a lot of things in that time. But the next question is, in which direction was Mark walking? Assuming he was trying to get home to Newton, which is in the northeast suburb. As I mentioned, the dissected book mentions he was walking in a southerly direction back up toward North Terrace, which is in the direction I'm walking now. If you keep walking up this road, or down this road, you'll come across North Terrace to the east, and if you do walk, if you follow that road, it will take you towards Newton. So we've just passed the Hackney Hotel. It may have been in this general area where Mark Langley was picked up. There's like a bike lane in here now, and pretty sure that wasn't here in 1982. Another most interesting fact about that night is that Bevan Spencer von Einem actually admitted to police that he'd been out and about cruising that night. He was interviewed by detectives, 2 Adelaide detectives, on March the 25th, 1982. Not more than a few weeks after Mark Langley's murder, after his name had popped up as someone who drugged teenage boys and sexually abused them. He stated that in the night relevant, which was the Saturday night, February 27th, he claimed he was at home drinking. That would have been at his Campbelltown unit in Rowney Avenue, I think it was. And decided to cruise into the city. Says he went into North Adelaide, into O'Connell Street to buy fish and chips. Then he went in to check his workplace out at Pipeline Supplies in Regency Park. Then went into the city, stopped in Hindley Street, and then the Mars Bar in Gouger Street before coming home at around 3 AM. Von Einem said, so even Von Einem himself admitted he was out cruising and stalking that night. Well, he didn't admit he was stalking, but that's what he was doing. So it was probably somewhere around here that Mark Langley was picked up by Von Einem on that early Sunday morning here on Hackney Road. Just giving you an alternative angle of Hackney Road. I'm now on the western side. Hackney Hotel just over there. We don't know for sure if Mark Langley was picked up here, but it seems likely, and as good as most likely places anywhere. But again, we can't say that for complete certainty, but this is the stretch of road he possibly could have been picked up by Von Einem in the early Sunday morning hours. I'm standing on the corner of Sprigg Road and Mount Lofty Summit Road. This is Sprigg Road in Summertown, in the Adelaide Hills. Now, it was somewhere along Sprigg Road where the body of Mark Langley was discovered on Monday afternoon, March the 8th, 1982. Again, finding the exact location is difficult, but it is somewhere not far from Mount Lofty Summit Road, entrance to Sprigg Road. So somewhere along here is where Mark Langley's body was found. So I'm going to go along Sprigg Road and see if we can find the exact location. I am standing on Sprigg Road in Summertown, the location where Mark Langley's body was found. Now, just trying to narrow down the possible locations. It is definitely in between, it's on Sprigg Road in between Mount Lofty Summit Road and Gores Road, further toward Mount Lofty Summit Road. It'd have to be the location where Mark's body was found. So I have some photos here of the scene back in 1982 which give a very vague indicator of where Mark could have been found. If you look at the photo, it's sort of on a corner, and I've sort of narrowed it down to a couple of possible locations, but unfortunately the exact location is almost impossible to determine. But if we walk this way, it could well be this corner here. Mark's body was thrown off the embankment. It is quite steep here. I'm not sure how far his body went down the hill. It could well be this spot here. We look down into the embankment. It's very steep. Of course, this was 39 years ago, so things do change. But on Mark Langley's body was found on Monday afternoon, March the 8th, 1982. His body was found by a man named Wayne Bolton, who was spraying weeds. I think he was a weed contractor when he discovered Mark's body lying down the embankment here on Sprigg Road. Mark had been lying in the scrub for a considerable amount of time, maybe even as long as a week. Like the other victims, Mark had suffered the same anal injuries and died from blood loss. Could well be down here. Well be down in this area. Mark's body was thrown from the road. Yes, Mark also suffered a post-mortem injury to his abdomen. There was about a 16.5 centimetre incision into his abdomen that had then been stitched back up. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about that injury. Was most likely done post-mortem. The common consensus is that the incision was made to retrieve something that had become lodged inside Mark, which is a distinct possibility. A lot of people also seem to think that that type of injury indicates that a medical professional was involved, but I'm not so sure about that. To me, the injury to Mark's abdomen fitted in with what I know about Bevan Spencer von Einem's doctor fantasy. I believe he had some kind of, in his fantasy world, which is how serial killers operate, he believed he was some kind of esteemed surgeon. He often referenced things about surgery and medical procedures, and the incision in Mark's abdomen may well have fitted in with von Einem living out those fantasies. Because remember, the wound was stitched back up. Now, obviously there was no need for the wound to be stitched back up. The victim, Mark, was probably already dead. Sure he was. So you're not working on a living patient who needs to be preserved. You're committing this act on a dead body. So there's absolutely no need to stitch it up, and there was even a plaster applied over it as like band-aid. Again, which is completely superfluous. They're not trying to preserve the life of the person. So to me that fits with von Einem's fantasy type behaviour, but that's speculation. So it may well have been in this area that Mark's body was dumped. We'll keep walking up Sprigg Road. This is heading toward Mount Lofty Summit Road. There's another corner a bit further up here which is a possible location. I have a feeling it was the back there we just saw. See, it's extremely steep here, but we'll keep walking. It was definitely somewhere along here. Mark had also been redressed and cleaned, though his satin shirt and a necklace he wore were missing. They also found traces of mandrakes, I think is how it's pronounced, in Mark's system. The sedative drug that von Einem used on his victims. Here's another corner that possibly could have been the location. Very steep area. But definitely somewhere along here into the scrub was Mark Langley's body, found on Monday afternoon, March the 8th, 1982. Here at Sprigg Road in Summertown. On here, Sprigg Road, Summertown, I'm just trying to cover the possible locations. This is the, I guess you call it the corner that's closest to Mount Lofty Summit Road. This is another possible location. There is a steep embankment, though not quite as deep or as steep as the others. Could have possibly been here. Go to the side of the, be careful here. If you look down there, possibly where Mark's body was thrown. The only problem here is there's a house onto the right here. Now, whether that was here in 1982, as I said, that's 39 years ago, I have no idea. You'd think a house would be a bit of a deterrent for von Einem to dump a body. Now that's looking back toward Mount Lofty Summit Road. You can just see it at the end of the road. I'll zoom in. That's the corner of Sprigg Road, Mount Lofty Summit Road. This is the first sort of bend you come to along Sprigg Road. This is another possible location where Mark's body was found. Here on Sprigg Road in Summertown. I'm at Centennial Park Cemetery, which runs off Goodwood Road. Here to pay my respects for Mark Langley. Mark is buried in the Lawn 1 section of Centennial Park. That's the Goodwood Road entrance. So the Lawn 1 section is more to the southern side. Mark is buried in Path 38, I think it is. Passing Path 30. .33, 34. It's up near this bench. 36, 37. Yeah, it's right near this bench. This is Path 38. Right here. This is the final resting place of Mark Langley. As you can see, Mark's mum, Janice, is also buried here. She died in, what day is that? August 20, 2005. In loving memory of Mark Andrew Langley. Tragically taken February 28, 1982, aged 18 years. Love son of Jan and David, brother to Tracy and Robin. And then Janice May Langley, 21/3/1944, 28/2005. A tender thought that brings a tear, a silent wish that you were here, loved always, a friend forever. Picture of Mark there too. We're in the lawn section of Centennial Park, lawn section 1, row 38. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 from the path. Just look for the bench. So this is Mark Langley's final resting place. Rest in peace, Mark.